major overriding issues we're going to be dealing with for the next decade as they're trying to build these things. All right? So the first one is, do you support increased development along Lincoln Boulevard? Yeah, Elise.
I support some increased development along Lincoln Boulevard, but not development that is 10 stories high, not development that has half a parking space per unit. Public transportation is in a free fall in Los Angeles. I have sat at those meetings and listened to architects on projects talk about, oh, well, there are going to be ride shares in and out of these projects. Okay, but ride shares increase vehicle miles per person traveled. They increase congestion. We're not solving the problem that we've identified. So we need to get realistic and start really looking at how people are traveling and also how people want to live.
I think much like my answer with the specific plan, I would say that in general, at some point in Venice, we are going to need increased density and development. But to Alex's point, I agree that not every project is good for every space, so I don't believe in blind adherence to the plan. The one that just came up recently was, in some ways, I think it could have been a good project, but it was just in the wrong space for that project. It was on a street that was already challenged for parking, that's narrow, that has no alleys. You know, we could go on. Maybe at a different point on Lincoln, that project would work. And I think, though, as our board moving forward, if we are going to entertain those projects, we really should be looking for more workforce housing and be looking at how we can have people living meaningfully in Venice and working in Venice. Because as a former 733 bus commuter to downtown LA, I know that the city's goal is laudable, but just nowhere near completion to have traffic, high occupancy a real thing.
Okay, so to follow this up, would you support greater density if the current parking requirements are met?
Well, that's possibly, depending on the rest of the elements of the project. I think it would have to be taken in the totality of the project. For example, maybe, but if it's a 20-story project backing up to single-family homes, no. I also think that we have to think about going forward how these transit corridors are going to affect Lincoln, where we have two different plans in place. Right now, the Coastal Commission regulates west of Lincoln one way and east of Lincoln another. And so not every project can be built in every place, and not everyone should. So I think based on those two criteria, possibly, but we would have to see.
I tend to not be a proponent of density in Venice. We're already one of the most dense cities, coastal cities along the whole coast of California, with the exception of Hermosa Beach, I believe. We're a fragile ecosystem. We have rising sea levels. We have climate change. Even if you build to Platinum LEED certified building, which is the most environmentally sustainable building that you can do, your carbon capture is about 40 to 80 years out, depending on the building. So the idea that this is, environmentally sustainable, it's not. We already don't have the infrastructure from a PowerPoint perspective, from a water perspective, to support that density. And to Daffodil's point, the challenges facing Lincoln Boulevard, are quite troubling, and something that we're going to have to look at as a committee and in the city moving forward. And again, I think we need to be realistic. How do people want to live?
Okay, you guys are playing the segue right into my question. So the next one, and this really is almost a yes/no answer, but do you support